Welcome to our channel, guys, and if you are new here or haven't done so yet, please remember to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and share this video with your friends. We have so much to untangle today, and trust me, you will want to stay until the very end because the irony we are witnessing in the media right now is just too loud to ignore. It is honestly comical at this point. So, I woke up this morning, opened my browser, and what do I see right there on the absolute front page of the Daily Mail? Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. I just had to stop and laugh out loud. I mean, you really cannot make this stuff up. It is the ultimate, undeniable proof of their absolute deep-rooted obsession with her. It is a literal daily fixation. They spent years and years trying to tear this woman down, writing the most ridiculous, nitpicking articles about her, and yet who do they plaster right on the front cover when they need those clicks and eyeballs? Meghan. It is honestly embarrassing for them. They criticize her breathing, they criticize her fashion, they criticize her existence, but the second they need to sell papers or get traffic, boom, there she is. Now, everyone in our community and across social media has been asking a very valid question today, and it is a question that completely exposes the double standards of the British press. Just recently, Kate Middleton went all the way to Italy for what was, let's be totally honest here, another one of her classic, carefully orchestrated PR stunts. She does this all the time. But here's the kicker, she was nowhere to be found on the main cover of the Daily Mail today. Now, why is that so fascinating? It is fascinating because this exact same media outlet is the one that constantly, tirelessly claims that Kate is the most hardworking, dedicated royal ever to exist. They built this narrative that she is practically running the entire institution with her bare hands. But when she actually goes out and does an official, high-profile international trip, they do not even give her the prime real estate on their own front page. Instead, they give it to Meghan, who isn't even a working royal anymore and lives thousands of miles away across the Atlantic Ocean. You have to laugh at the sheer absurdity of it. The absolute truth here, if we are being completely honest with ourselves and looking at the actual facts, is that Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is the only genuinely hard-working duchess in this entire dynamic. She is a woman who actually puts in the real, substantive work, who creates tangible projects, builds global initiatives, and speaks out on real, impactful issues that matter to everyday people. She doesn't just show up to cut a ribbon, smile for 5 seconds, and disappear back into a palace for 3 months. Kate, on the other hand, is just a total copycat who tries by all means necessary to make a name for herself by mimicking what she sees others doing. Every time Meghan launches a successful project or speaks powerfully at an event, suddenly we see Kate trying to do a watered-down, heavily staged version of the exact same thing a few weeks later. It is so transparent, and honestly, it's getting a little sad to watch. But the beautiful thing is that the public is not blind. People can see exactly where the true, authentic work is being done, and they can see through the shallow, manufactured imagery. When you look at the Daily Mail choosing to have a woman they have spent the last 7 years aggressively criticizing, bullying, and demonizing as their main cover star, it speaks volumes about the reality of the situation. It tells you everything you need to know about who holds the real power, who has the actual star power, and who truly captivates the public's attention. They hate her, but they absolutely need her, because without her, their engagement drops into the abyss. They try to make Kate the ultimate star, but the moment Meghan appears, the media completely drops the narrative and runs right back to the Duchess of Sussex. It's a total validation of Meghan's impact and a complete embarrassment for the palace PR machine that tries so hard to overshadow her. Let's dive a bit deeper into this because the psychological gymnastics happening behind the scenes at these media headquarters is honestly wild. Think about it. We are talking about a massive, multi-million-dollar media machine that has dedicated years, literal years of daily headlines, endless columns, and breaking news alerts to convince the public that Meghan is irrelevant, that she stepped away and nobody cares about her anymore. They've tried to paint this picture of her being cast out into the shadows. But then, look at what happens the moment a slow news day hits or the moment they need to guarantee a spike in their web traffic. They don't put their supposed star player on the front page. They don't put Kate on the cover to celebrate her Italian trip, even though their own writer spent the last 48 hours trying to hype it up as some historic, groundbreaking diplomatic triumph. No, they immediately fall back on Meghan. It's like a toxic ex who can't stop checking up on you, completely unable to move on. They are utterly dependent on her name for their livelihood, and the irony is just delicious. It proves that despite all the negative spin, all the hit pieces, and all the coordinated smear campaigns, Meghan remains the most influential, captivating, and culturally significant figure in their entire lexicon. They literally cannot survive without her. And let's really talk about Kate's trip to Italy for a second, because the contrast here is just glaring. Every single time she steps out of the country, the palace PR team works overtime to frame it as this monumental, incredibly exhausting piece of royal duty. We get the articles about her wardrobe, the calculated smiles, the slow-motion walks, and the rehearsed handshakes. It is a completely manufactured spectacle designed to make her look like the epitome of a modern, tireless leader. But when you strip away the glossy photographs and the glowing, sycophantic headlines, what is actually being accomplished? What is the tangible impact? What real-world problem is being solved? It's empty calories. It's a beautifully packaged box with absolutely nothing inside it. And clearly, even the editors at the Daily Mail know it deep down. If her work was truly as groundbreaking and essential as they claim it is, she would be dominating the front page effortlessly. Her merit would speak for itself. But instead, her trip gets pushed to the side because at the end of the day, it just doesn't generate the genuine, organic interest that Meghan commands by simply existing. This is exactly why the copycat behavior has become so incredibly obvious to anyone who is actually paying attention. For years, the establishment tried to box Meghan in, telling her she was doing too much, being too vocal, and stepping out of line by focusing on real systemic issues like women's empowerment, mental health, and racial equity. They wanted her to just sit there, look pretty, and play the traditional silent part. But Meghan refused to be muted. She brought her authentic, self-made American work ethic into a system that thrives on stagnation. And what happened? The moment she left and started successfully building her own global platforms, launching top-tier podcasts, creating award-winning documentaries, and funding massive community programs through her foundation, suddenly the palace realized they had a massive vacancy. They realized their traditional model looked incredibly outdated and lazy by comparison. So what did they do? They started desperately trying to rebrand Kate into a champion of structural change. Suddenly, Kate is hosting roundtables, giving speeches on early childhood development, and attempting to look like a deeply serious, hands-on policymaker. It is a complete blueprint lift from Meghan's playbook. But you can't just replicate authenticity. You can't just buy a new suit, hire a new speechwriter, and suddenly possess the organic charisma and genuine passion that Meghan has displayed her entire life, long before she ever met a prince. The public sees right through it, and that is what drives the British press entirely insane. They have spent millions trying to force-feed the world a narrative, but the internet has decentralized information. People can look at the actual track records side by side. On one hand, you have a woman who built her own career, became a UN advocate, traveled the world for genuine humanitarian causes, and continues to create real, measurable impact on her own terms. On the other hand, you have a heavily shielded, tightly controlled PR product, whose biggest selling point is her compliance with an archaic system. When the Daily Mail puts Meghan on the cover while ignoring Kate's taxpayer-funded international tour, they are accidentally admitting the truth. They are admitting that Meghan is the real powerhouse, the real draw, and the real worker whose influence cannot be managed, minimized, or replicated. It is a total victory for truth over propaganda, and it shows that no matter how hard they try to rewrite history, the public always knows where the real substance lies. When you step back and look at the sheer scale of this dynamic, it becomes overwhelmingly clear that we are witnessing the total collapse of a decades-old media playbook. The British press is caught in a trap of their own making, and it is honestly beautiful to watch. For years, their entire business model relied on building up royal figures into untouchable icons, only to tear them down when it suited their narrative. But with Meghan, she met someone who refused to play by their rigged rules. She didn't stay quiet, she didn't beg for their approval, and she didn't allow them to dictate her self-worth. By stepping away from the toxic ecosystem of the UK tabloids, she completely stripped them of their power over her life, yet ironically, she gained complete dominance over their newsrooms. The fact that the Daily Mail must continuously place her on the front page, even while trying to validate Kate's heavily manufactured public image, is an admission of absolute defeat. It shows that they are no longer the gatekeepers of culture or relevance. They are merely frantic spectators, desperately chasing the coattails of a self-made woman who left them behind in the dust. Think about the message this sends to the public, and specifically to women all over the world who have ever been gaslit, undermined, or copied in their own workplaces. It is a universal story playing out on a global stage. How many times have you put in the late hours, brought the fresh ideas, and done the actual heavy lifting, only to watch a less qualified, more compliant colleague get coddled by management, given the easy assignments, and praised for doing the absolute bare minimum? That is exactly what the Kate versus Meghan narrative represents. The establishment will always protect the person who doesn't challenge them, the person who blends into the background and repeats the company line. They will reward compliance with glowing headlines and artificial praise, but true excellence cannot be hidden, and it cannot be manufactured by a public relations firm. The public possesses a natural radar for authenticity. We can look at Meghan's projects, whether it's her extensive charitable work, her advocacy for parental leave, or her global media ventures, and see a clear line of genuine human connection and relentless effort. No amount of taxpayer trips to Italy or highly styled photo ops can mimic the drive of a woman who has worked for everything she has achieved. Ultimately, this latest cover page irony is a moment of total vindication for everyone who has stood by the Duchess of Sussex through years of unprecedented media bullying. It proves that the truth does not need a coordinated PR machine to survive. It simply stands on its own merit. The Daily Mail can write all the hit pieces they want, and the palace can arrange all the strategic, empty tours they can dream up, but they cannot control the hearts and minds of the audience. They cannot force people to find substance where there is only a hollow shadow. By continuously putting Meghan on the cover, the media is inadvertently keeping her at the center of the cultural conversation, cementing her status as the defining figure of modern royalty, even from outside the institution. They wanted to make her invisible, but instead they made her indispensable to their own survival. Thank you all for joining me for this deep dive today, for sharing your thoughts in the comments, and for always keeping the discussion grounded in reality. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a massive thumbs up, and share it with anyone who needs a serious reality check on how the media operates. Stay strong, stay authentic, and I will see you all in the very next video.